Hi, and welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. In for quite an endeavor today as our animal wrangler is our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. And before we get started, we want to go over our new promotion for the month of September. Because we do have so many adoptable dogs, and because the dog kennels can be a very stressful place, not only for the dogs in our care, but for the visitors coming to look to find a new furry friend, we have decided to do something different this month, and we've actually closed our dog kennels. What we're going to be doing instead is encouraging people to kind of go through a catalog that we have created either online or here in our facility and read about the dogs, look at their pictures, and then choose up to 3 dogs that they want to meet during their visitation, and we will actually take the dogs outside. So the visitors will never have to go into the dog kennels. You know, some of the kids, even some of the adults get scared by the loud noises, and some of the dogs just don't show really well in the kennel environment, but are great outside. So that's going to hopefully lead to people feeling more comfortable and maybe picking some dogs that are going to be a great fit for their family, but they might have overlooked in the past. So that's something that we'll be doing. If you have any questions about that, you can always give us a call at 301-600-1546 for some more information about that promotion this month. Our first guest today is Dooley, and Dooley is a big goofball. He is about 70 pounds, and while he likes to, flip around and do all crazy stuff, he's actually one of our more affectionate dogs. He just doesn't realize how big he is. Of course, he's an active guy who's going to need a lot of exercise. He doesn't realize that he's not a small lap dog. So an energetic family who likes to go out and run in the yard, hike, things like that is going to be better suited for Dooley. He does want to cuddle and be, social and lean into you, but probably a little bit more relaxed in doing that after some exercise. Unfortunately, we don't always have the ability to give the dogs all the exercise they need here in a shelter environment. He's about 2 years old, and he, past the puppy stage, but still firmly in that adolescent stage. So he does still have some things that he needs to work on, things like not jumping up on people, polite leash walking, but he does have, a basic sit down really well. He knows paw. He does take treats very gently, and he's treat motivated. So that will make working on those good manners a little bit easier down the line.
So he's earned himself a nickname here at the shelter. What is that?
So pretty quickly he became Drooly Dooley because he has big jowls that he loves to rub all over you. His tongue is always hanging out, and the worst time to get it is after he's had a drink of water. He just hoards water in his cheeks, and then he likes to come in, wipe it all off on your pants. So he is a little bit drooly. So if you're not put off by a little dog drool, then maybe he's a good fit for your family. But he's definitely quickly winning over the hearts of staff just with his goofball personality and also his really handsome good looks. If you think that you have what it takes to be a good family and a good home for Dooley, then you can stop in and check out his profile here at 1832 Rosemont Avenue after you book that visitation appointment. Our next dog is Liam, and Liam is a super sweet dog. He's actually one of the more turnkey dogs that we have, which is not something that we say a lot, right? Usually they have a lot of things that they have to work on, and really with Liam, the main thing that he has to work on is just polite leash walking because he's a big guy. He's like 70 pounds. But he loves a good dog bed. He actually came from a home where he lived with another dog. So he does really well with a canine friend. They would cuddle and play together. And then he also lived in a home with kids, which a lot of people ask questions about. How is this dog going to be with my kids? And according to the information we've been given, Liam did really well with kids a variety of ages. He has a nice sit. He is very, very attention focused. He loves to have attention, and he knows paw as well. So he has a lot of great qualities, and he's a super cute guy. We've had him up in the front office a lot. He loves dog beds so much that we had a dog bed pushed up against the side of the wall, and he just would stare at it until I put it down on the floor for him, and then immediately plop right on the dog bed. So he loves those types of things. He just loves being in the company of people. One of the things that we have learned is that he's not a super big fan of really loud noises. Like household noises will be fine, but here in the kennels where it's really loud all the time, that makes Liam a little bit uncomfortable. So he does a little bit better in some quieter spaces, things like that. But because of the environments where he's previously lived, we don't have really any limitations on the type of family that could make Liam part of their home.
So Liam is quite the talker. We can say that's true, correct?
That's true. So, here in this environment, Liam has been quite vocal. When he's alone and it's nice and quiet, he tends to be very quiet. We have some information because previously they tried to rehome Liam through Project Hope. So we have some information from our focus group. They didn't mention that Liam was like very vocal, but he has been here. So we think that it might just be a product of like the stress and anxiety. He doesn't know what's going on, so he's whining. He tends to do it less when he's in places where he feels comfortable and is nice and relaxed, like when he was in one of the really quieter areas of our facility. So that's something that we think will, once he's settled in a home, kind of dissipate. He may still whine when he has to go to the bathroom or things like that, but he won't be as vocal in our opinions once he gets settled into a relaxed home environment and he feels comfortable and safe there. But it is something that, his family will have to work through as he is getting more uncomfortable. The first time I brought him up to our front office area to hang out, he was really vocal. The second day, he whined significantly less. So, each time he gets more and more comfortable, he's doing that less. But it is something that he will probably do, just not to the same extent in a home. So you just want to be prepared for that. And one of the things I do like to mention, normally I say we never guarantee that any of our dogs are house trained. But Liam is definitely a house-trained dog. His previous owner wrote down the times that he does go to the bathroom, and his kennel is the cleanest kennel here in the shelter. Every time I walk by, he never has a mess in his kennel. He doesn't even destroy his blankets or anything like that. So if that's something that you're looking for, he still may have a couple accidents as he's getting used to the new routine with his new family, but he is a guy that we would say, unlike most of our dogs, is house-trained. So if you're looking for a good family dog and you're interested in Liam, you can book an appointment to meet with him by going to visit fcac.as.me. Our next guest is one of the younger dogs that we have on the floor. She's about 9 months old. She was surrendered to us because unfortunately there were some changes in family dynamics, they said, and they were just unable to care for her. So they brought her here to us so that we could find her another home. Poppy is a Rottweiler mix, and she's a little bit small for a Rottie. So I don't know what else she's mixed with. Her face isn't as, broad, and she's a little bit smaller. She's about 57 pounds. So if you like the idea of a Rottie in your household, but you're like, I don't know if I have the space for a more purebred one, then maybe Poppy is a good option for you. She is a highly energetic dog. She is all about play, and definitely gonna need some exercise, things like that. She's very friendly. She doesn't seem to have any issues with strangers. She doesn't seem to have any issues walking past the other dogs or anything like that. But obviously, if you had an existing dog in your home, you would want to bring your dog here. It's a requirement to do some parallel walks and make sure that those animals are going to be suitable to be housed together. Because she is a young dog, you want to assume that you're going to have to put in a lot of effort with the training, learning good manners. And depending on your family situation, good manners are different from family to family. So because she is treat motivated, hopefully that will be something that she will dive into pretty quickly and be a quick learner, because she doesn't turn down a treat. The other day I was trying to take her picture and she knew I had them, and she was highly fixated on the treat pouch. She knew exactly where to get them.
So her profile indicates she's learning how to play. What does that mean?
So that can mean a couple of different things. So while Poppy does seem to like toys, they don't always know how to play with them sometimes. Sometimes you'll toss a toy and they don't get that they're supposed to chase it, or any of those types of things. So we get a lot of dogs that come from situations where they might not have had a lot of access to toys, so they are just starting to figure out that they're fun and they squeak and they do stuff and they can toss them around. But I think more so in Poppy's cases, she's learning how to play appropriately. She can play a little bit rough. She can get mouthy, which means she's not trying to bite you, but she just rubs her mouth and her teeth all over your body, kind of like Dooley was doing a little bit earlier in the show. So Poppy has a tendency to do that a fair amount, and not really understanding what she's doing. She's being a little bit calmer now, but I have seen her totally riled up, and she is a little indiscriminate about where she puts those teeth. So for that reason, we are looking at, kids probably 6 and up for her, just because we don't want any small kids to get bitten or things like that through play. And that is something that her previous owners did note that she had a tendency to do. So we're just looking out the safety for everyone involved. She does sit pretty nicely for the most part, and while she's calming down now, she's being a lot more affectionate than I've seen her in the past. She does tend to be more based on play and those types of interactions than cuddling or things of that nature. If you think that Poppy here is going to be a great addition to your household, again, kennels are closed, but you can still book an appointment to meet her and learn more about her by going to visit fcac.as.me. Our next guest is a little less filled with energy. She's our pint-sized boxer at about 40 pounds. This is Diamond. She is super cute. She has that great brindle coat. And she's about 4 to 5 years old, so, past that, puppy adolescent stage, firmly into adulthood, a little bit more relaxed. The kennel staff say when she's outside, her favorite thing is to just lounge in the sun. She goes into cat mode and just wants to sit in the sunspot. She's very affectionate. She's very quiet. She's kind of the opposite of a lot of the other dogs that we have on the floor right now. And, for people who, again, like when we're talking about Poppy, like a Rottweiler type dog, but can't necessarily have that normal size. If you're into boxers, but you think most of the regular boxers are going to be too big for you, she's only 40 pounds, which means that, she's going to be more accessible for people who maybe aren't as strong to walk a 70 to 80 pound dog. But also, if you live in an apartment or a smaller space and you're concerned about, weight restrictions or, the ability to get the appropriate amount of exercise, those things are going to be less of a factor for Diamond. She does know sit, and again, she's super sweet, doesn't really care about anything. She walks through the dog floor without a lot of fuss. So would probably do well in a home with other pets. But you obviously want to do proper introductions to make sure that we're not rushing into things and that all the animals in the household are comfortable. She doesn't have any restrictions on the type of children she can live with, so she should be a fairly good addition to any type of family, honestly.
So unlike the other dogs we've had on the show, she has more of a flat face. So a family that adopts a dog such as Diamond, what should they know about that characteristic?
So sometimes we call them smushy faces, but the medical term is a brachiocephalic face. When you have dogs like that, and hers is not as smushy as some others, the types of breeds would be boxers or bulldogs, French bulldogs, those types of things. They can't regulate heat as well because of how dogs just naturally function. So a lot of intense exercise is not always a great thing. So dogs like that aren't necessarily made to be great running partners. They can go out on, hikes and things like that, but, long runs aren't really going to be their thing. You also have to be mindful of how hot it is outside. They can suffer heat stroke and things like that more quickly. We were definitely really concerned with that with some of our low rider dogs like Disco, who's still available for adoption. So those are things that you want to take into account and discuss with your vet to make sure, or do your research about the breed to make sure that you are not endangering your animal by trying to have, good family fun. It may just be too hot or too much strenuous exercise for that type of breed. If you're interested in making a Diamond part of your family, you want to go online to book an appointment to visit with her at visitfcac.as.me. Again, because we are doing the speed dating type of scenario during the month, when you come to visit, you'll be able to look at her profile, look at some of the other dogs, and then we'll actually take her outside so you won't have to worry about meeting her in the stressful kennel environment. This is our next guest. She is pure energy, it's kind of fitting that her name is Sunny because you get a lot of energy from the sun. And she is just still a very young dog. She's about 7 months old at this point. So just has a lot of that puppy adolescent dog energy that just needs to be harnessed she's very smart and very motivated, but she just doesn't have the right structure to put that stuff to use yet. So I think once she gets a little bit of good manners training, she's actually going to be a really good dog. She's very motivated. She understands that treats me in good things, but she just definitely needs an outlet for all of that energy. So whether you're taking her hiking, or you're just, she's a running partner, or you're doing agility, sometimes really smart dogs that have a lot of energy do really well in that type of avenue. She's a hound mix, so types of scent work can all be a really good outlet for all of her energy. But just making sure that any family that takes her on understands, hey, she has a lot of energy, so be prepared to give her that outlet, because otherwise, I was like little kids, they kind of get into trouble when you don't give them something to do. That same thing can occur with our dogs. Again, she is a younger dog, so she still needs work on things like house training and basic good manners, but she's been very, very social with people. It's just harnessing that energy that can sometimes be a bit of a challenge. She was previously owned. They said they were just not able to take care of her anymore, which is why they brought her to us. She did live with another dog in that home. They say that she, likes to chew on sticks, that she can be a vocal girl, but she is used to all of those basics like nail trims and vet visits and baths. She's afraid of the vacuum, so that's a good thing to know. And while she's still working on house training, her previous owner was able to get her crate trained, so that's going to be an asset in a new home environment for her as well.
So she has some favorite toys. What are those?
So our staff figured out that she really loves rope toys, although she's of course not going to be interested in them now. But she likes to play fetch with rope toys. She enjoys games of tug. And some dogs are she's very food motivated, but she's also very play motivated. So you can use games and fetch and tug as a way to reward her during her training, so that you're not always relying on food. And she also really likes ice cubes. We started doing some enrichment where we were handing out the ice cubes, and she really loved to play with those and chew on those. She really was excited about that. So that's something that is easy to do to keep her occupied in a home environment. And also doesn't make a huge mess if you set it up in the right scenario. So if you think that Sunny is going to be a great project for you and a good companion for your family, we are looking for older children with her, just because she can be a little extra sometimes, still learning those good manners. But for most households, she's going to be a fun dog. If you think that yours is the one that's going to be right for Sunny, then again, book that appointment to visit her at visitfcac.as.me. Our last guest today is another one of our energetic terriers. We have many of those, so if that's what you're looking for, we're the place to come, because we have lots of energetic terriers. This is Elliot, and he's about a year old. He has that great chocolate and white color. He's a very handsome guy. We have a couple of dogs that have that chocolatey look right now. So Elliot, and then Draco as well. I think he kind of looks a little bit like E.T. myself. He has a very interesting look to him. He is a dog that does a lot better out of the kennel. So he's definitely one of those dogs that's going to benefit from the September promo, where we're not allowing people to go see him in his kennel, because he can be a little bit nervous around strangers in his kennel, and he doesn't really love the other dogs, so getting him in and out when people see that, he's a little reactive. But outside, he seems to be able to walk by the other dogs without an issue. He's much calmer and more relaxed. Even when we processed him and made him available for adoption, we noticed a big difference in our processing area with his behavior than what we were seeing in the kennel environment. So kennels are super stressful, and he's a prime example of why we're trying to see if this new way of adopting out dogs is going to be successful, so that dogs like Elliot can be in the shelter for less time, because people are seeing them for who they really are, not for how stressed they are in their kennels. He, again, is a 1-year-old dog, definitely still has some manners to work on, and he needs somebody to kind of harness his goofy energy, because he has a lot of it. I know that you saw some of that bringing him in today. He's calmed down in this environment, but out there he can be a little bit of a handful, but a fun dog, and a dog that will hopefully be a good addition to the right family. He really does need the right family.
So did Elliot arrive at the shelter as a stray or a previously owned dog?
He was a stray, and he is a dog that, unlike a lot of the other dogs that we have right now, he does have a little bit more extensive restrictions. So Elliot is something that we refer to as head shy. So with people he's comfortable with, he doesn't really mind if you kind of touch over his head and things like that. But with strangers, he really doesn't like that. And so that's a way if people are constantly reaching over the head, we don't want him to bite someone. Also, he can be very intense about his food. We see that with a lot of the stray dogs. They don't know necessarily where their next meal is coming from. So when they see food, they got to gobble it. They don't want anybody to take it from them because that's just like a survival instinct. And then also, he doesn't love the other dogs. So he's probably, not going to be a great multi-dog home dog, but because of his reaction to some of the other dogs and how excited he is about food and not really wanting his head touched, we are looking for homes with teenagers or adults. We don't want him to go to a home with younger kids who may not be able to understand the right ways to interact with Elliot and to kind of make sure that he's going to be showing the best version of himself. So unlike a lot of the other dogs on the show today who, as long as they're not really tiny kids or any kid or, any age is fine. Elliot does have that restriction of where we're really looking for, again, teenagers and up. And because he is very dog selective, some dogs he doesn't care about, other dogs he is really not fond of, probably would do best as an only dog. But still, that doesn't mean that he's not going to be a great pet. As you can see, super affectionate, playful, not great at the treat catching thing, but has a lot of potential. Just needs that right family to work with him. If you think that you are the right family for Elliot, you can start the process of making him part of your household by going to visit fcac.as.me. We hope that you enjoyed meeting some of our adoptable dogs. Again, our dog floor is really full right now, so there's a lot of things to choose from, a variety of sizes and breeds. You can see all of our adoptable animals online on our Facebook page, and you can find that by going to facebook.com/FCACMD.